Bart says with USC's inability to attract defensive linemen, sounds like Tackett Curtis will be busy.
He will be. And yeah, it does bring up a good point that and Mark, I remember you saying this about Bryson Shaw, that he was one of the leading tacklers, coming into USC, from his days at Ohio State. And if you're a leading tackler and you're in the secondary, that's not necessarily a good thing. It means that the layers of defense in front of you aren't doing their job. And so that's how just raw numbers of tackles can be a very misleading statistic. It can actually point to the wrong indicators as opposed to pure natural excellence or athletic ability. So like that is something to keep in mind. And yeah, like in the Cotton Bowl against Tulane, like Tuli Tuipulotu didn't have really a huge impact. He had that one sack late in the game, which Tulane was able to overcome. But he did not have help on that defensive line. You had other players such as Solomon Byrd and Tyrone Taleni making the occasional important play, and it was enough against a number of the Pac-12's more mediocre teams, mediocre offenses. But against the big boys, just plainly not good enough. And I think it's pretty clear that USC does not have the defensive line quality or depth to really inspire total confidence and trust heading into 2023, especially with USC now has to play Oregon and Washington, which it didn't have to in 2022. And you have all these quarterbacks coming back, and it's just going to be a real challenge. It's also going to be like this is where USC has to be a lot better, and that is players such as Eric Gentry getting much stronger physically, much tougher. Like they need to be hitting the weight room. They need to come into August camp and week 1 being much more physically developed players, because as Larry Pilgrim mentioned on our coverage of the Pac-12 championship game, that Utah was able to just grind Gentry down in a fine powder, that Gentry was not ready for the physical punishing style that Utah brought to the table. So if USC is going to stand up to Utah, if USC is going to stand up to a really good Washington offensive line when the Huskies come to the Coliseum in early November, the players that were in the program in 2022 and are coming back for 2023, they need to be so much stronger than they were. And so that's where we also get into another Lincoln Riley hire, part of his team, another guy he's shown a lot of loyalty to, Benny Wiley, the USC strength coach. He is definitely under the gun, I would say, heading into 2023, not just Alex Grinch, because if USC gets pulverized again, if USC gets mashed again, we really have to ask if Benny Wiley is the strength coach that Lincoln Riley should have. And there are plenty of Oklahoma fans and Oklahoma journalists who would be very quick to affirm that point.
It's a position that serious college football fans know the importance of, but most of college football nation kind of bypasses and just thinks offense, defense, special teams, and that's what it is. But obviously, it's a very physical sport, and that strength and conditioning coach, he is vital